Welcome everybody. Hi, I am Vidyut Joshi from Bablr Early Learning. So it's great to see so many of you here. Nice to see that you all have spared the time for this session. We will take all the questions towards the end of this session, if that's okay with you all. Without further ado, I think let's begin the session. Yeah. So our topic today is of healthy babies make healthy adults. And this session comes from our Vision Pack series. And here we have today with us an expert whom I will shortly introduce you to. But before I begin, I would like to do a little task, and that is to read out a disclaimer. So this session is not intended to give any medical advice. Our objective is to make parents aware about the importance of health in early years. We are only going to mention broad and generally acceptable principles. Please consult your doctor or specialist about all specific questions and circumstances. So with that underway, let's begin. Our expert today is Dr. Tejal Kanwar. Hello, Dr. Tejal. Welcome to this session. So, Dr. Tejal is a gynecologist and a surgeon, but most importantly, she's a mentor for children in fitness and sport. So, other than being a medical doctor and aiding birth of many babies, she is also the founder of an interesting startup called Gynaecologist. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. So, Gynaecologist is a physical education company for kids. They work closely with schools and other organizations to promote physical literacy among kids. So welcome, Dr. Tejal. It's great to have you with us, and I have been, just like our parents, I've been looking forward to have this discussion with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to interact with so many parents and talk about what I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone at your team at Bablr, and full of gratitude. About Gynaecologist, it's a fun fitness gamified program based on the fitness milestone, which is based on, again, motor developmental milestones of children. Gynaecologist, we started about 4 years back with a movement revolution, where we are trying to make the child not only physically fit, but to motivate and inspire children to pursue fitness and physical activity as a lifestyle and as a habit. So that's what Gynaecologist is all about. But it has science at its core, because we are all the team is from the scientific background. But we have packaged the program in a very fun, gamified, enjoyable way, so that children get engaged and entertained to be able to pursue physical activity, to improve play activities in Gynaecologist. That's what Gynaecologist is all about.
Yeah, great. Wonderful. That's very nice. So today we have you with us to talk about this topic, healthy babies make healthy adults. So Dr. Kanwar, what I would like to ask you is, why is there a need of laying this foundation of health so earlier on in life?
In early years, in fact, if we remember our childhood, maybe around the age of 4 and 5, we have to ask ourselves that question, whether our children today are getting the same amount of physical activity that we used to get. Okay, so for many years, people have assumed, and even now we assume, that in the early years from 0 to 3, for example, children are running about, children are climbing, children are falling, and they are jumping around. But are they doing that particular physical activity enough? Is it enough? From our own childhood experience, we would remember how curious we were, how exploratory everything would be. We would want to, do new things in a physical activity space, get outdoors. Now we are in all gated communities, even though there are outdoor facilities. The same opportunities that we had, and the same kind of exposure and the same kind of activity, the physical activity, number of hours, I don't think the kids the world has changed.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure most of the parents would identify with this. They would be taken back to their childhood, when we would just be climbing trees and playing hide and seek and I don't know what have you.
Yes,
So,
there were no gadgets at that time.
yeah. So I guess, parents are bothered very much nowadays with, even when the baby is born, they think about the school that they're going to go into. What should be the syllabus? Should it be ICSE, IB boards? People are talking about all these kind of things. So they mostly focusing, everybody knows about the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. But definitely there is a fourth R, which I would say, which is rigor. It's equally important, which you're trying to tell us about. Yeah.
Right. So, yes, rigor is something that we are all missing out on. So, recent studies have shown in Canada, even in the US, across the world, several studies in fact, that we need to focus on that. Yeah. A lot of children under the age of 5 are overweight, slightly obese, category, and this is a very frightening number. What happens to these children is there is a certain unwillingness or probably even inability to lead a physically active lifestyle. There is also unwillingness when these kids grow up beyond the age of 5 and 6.
Yes.
They are a little overweight. They have an unwillingness to participate in sports or any activity.
Yeah.
Also, there is a potential risk of low self-esteem. So, coming back to rigor, we as parents and schools are the main gatekeepers for the future generation, our children.
Right.
And we as parents have to become the role models and set examples for our children.
Yes, absolutely.
And choose the right schools which is able to facilitate and provide these facilities, environment, the correct ambience for our children to get inspired to get exposure to physical activities, sports, or even fitness, gymnastics, even horse riding for that matter. All these activities should be given to the children. Opportunities should be given to the children. And these will happen in later years. But in the earlier years, it's very important to set a fundamental movement based program for the children, starting from 0 age.
Yeah. So I would ask you, when you talk about children should be active, now how active should a child be? Talk to us about, in the context of infants, toddlers, school-age children, if you can just break it down for us a bit.
Yeah, it would be nice if we break it down. So from say 0 to say 12 months, we do feel that the children are naturally active. They are probably just about crawling, right? But I feel that, and many other studies have also proven that there is a lot of shackling of the children even till the age of 1. There are a lot of car seats available, strollers now, high chairs where you put the child to feed the child. I don't think these kind of facilities were available back then. There was a lot of moving around and a lot of active movement for the child around the house. At that time. So ideally, this physical activity has been used. So tummy time, interactive floor time, has to increase. The play time has to increase consciously by the parents. And this restrictive car seat and stroller activity should be restricted for more than 1 hour. From the age of 1 to 2, for example, and up to say the age of 3 also, you won't believe it, 180 minutes of active playtime is required. 180 minutes. That's what 3 hours in a day is required for our children. And so this is something that parents really need to take back in this particular session. We have to what is called as reduce the passive screen time. There is what is called as educational active screen time that we have to accept in today's new world, in today's tech-enabled world, where education is going to be, it will be imparted in a technologically easy way and user-friendly way for our children. And children do pick up very fast, on the active educational tools which are available on gadgets. But this particular passive screen time, has to reduce. The cartoon watching and unnecessary absorption of unnecessary content has to reduce, where the child is just sitting and staring and not absorbing anything meaningful. When we come to the age of 5 plus, in that age group, about 60 minutes of active time. It could be structured or unstructured. Ideally, above the age of 5, it should be a very structured activity.
Right.
And it should cover all the groups of muscles and effectively help in the bone and the muscle growth of the child. And that happens by when parents encourage outdoor play and take the children to playgrounds and parks and school grounds. So that's the way I would like to break it down. Yeah.
Correct. So I remember when my child was growing up, was to take her to parks, So you see that monkey bars over there where she was always attracted towards it. And I also like the idea. So I read up about it and, I came to this concept of brachiation. So I think this brachiation, it kind of strengthens the upper body. Probably that's one of the things, but I'm sure it has got many other benefits. Would you like to tell us something about it?
Please? Yeah, it's a nice way to start this conversation. So brachiation is all about swinging and where the upper body muscles are used and there's a certain amount of balance and space awareness also to the child learn. So these are part of activities like swinging, climbing, spinning, balancing and hand-eye coordination. All these activities along with the upper body exercises as well as the lower body workouts are amazing for muscle and bone growth. Okay, the child from the age of 0 to say till puberty has to grow, elongate, right? There is a height increase that has to happen.
Right.
So that strengthening of the bones and the muscles when the child is getting elongated will happen not by some kind of medicines that we give, but by active play. The bones really become stronger and heavier when you are, putting resistance on them, strengthening exercise, body weight exercise. And that's what happens in the outdoor play. And the child also, when it's in a group setting, gets to understand what is teamwork, what is cooperative work, and also learns to climb over obstacles and get over hurdles, and that leads to a lot of analytical and problem solving, positive responses in our child. And child learns to get more and more confident, and all in fact what they learn in the playground gets them so confident and the self-esteem increases, and that's also reflected in the academic, also reflected in the classroom.
Definitely. I think as kids, I remember, the free flow play that we used to have, and then with equal zest, we would study and things like that. But nowadays, maybe it has reduced a bit, and probably we parents are also to blame in some way. So it would be good to have this discussion with you, Doctor. So
basically, I feel we have overburdened our children with not only academics, which ideally should be there in school, but also in tuition, and reduce their playtime. I think that we need to consciously make an effort to be able to provide the child with the right environment.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, even just like, education has a pedagogy, I'm sure fitness too has a pedagogy. So I'm sure with Plynetics and your way of view of thought, I'm sure you've explored this area as well. Could you tell us something about it, please?
There's a huge movement going on across the world, especially it starts from UK and Canada, where what is called as physical literacy has made a huge impact across, because we are seeing all these frightening statistics. What is physical literacy? Now, when a child is learning ABC, and 1, 2, 3 is numeric as well as the English literacy, we are forming words, then sentences, and then complex essays, and that's how the child also. Fitness also has to be taught to a child. It has to be learned by a child to be able to lead a healthy, functionally active life. Not only to do their day-to-day activities, like even carrying a school bag. When you're waiting for your school bus, you should be able to carry a medium weight school bag. If you are trying, if you are waiting, if the bus is going away and you want to run a little bit for the bus, you should have that strength to be able to run carrying a school bag to the bus and telling the baby, wait, I'm here I am. Yeah. And that is what is in the day-to-day life. Now, what happens in a field, in a sports ground? Like if a child is physically literate, I'll explain more about it later. But if a child is physically literate, if he has learned the right fundamental movement skills, say for example a squat or a lunge, or the child has learned how to run very fast by, we teach children in kinetics about how to run in the correct form and where hands should be swinging. Yeah. So when a child learns that, and at the age of 8, for example, you put this particular child who's learned all the fundamental movement skills into a football field. Compared to him, the other kids have not learned from that. So he will be much superior to the other kids. To be able to kick the ball, to be able to run after the ball, to be able to, lunge, bend in the correct way and in the correct technique and get on. I think that is what is fundamental movement skills, and without even knowing, the child has become physically literate. So he knows and he has the knowledge to be able to lunge in a particular way or move in a particular way because he's been taught that and he has that habit and it's ingrained in him. So that's what is physical literacy. That the child has been taught and is motivated and is inspired to lead this kind of a life. I hope I'm able to explain it.
Yeah, very nicely.
I would just like to again differentiate, if the slide comes up, what is physical activity and physical movement. So physical activity is where you move the energy of the body, your oxygen, your breathing, and increase in heart rate. That is activity. That is actual action that happens. And what is physical literacy? That is totally different. Physical literacy is the knowledge of fitness. Okay, I have so many activities that I can do. I can run, I can play a sport, I can be confident.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
And be competent in all the activities. So that's what is physical.
Okay.
Yeah, and the child doesn't need to be like a national level athlete or some super achiever. Physical literacy doesn't need to take the child to some superior level. You should just lead a healthy, active life with what the child.
Okay. So I think we will go ahead. All right. So that's great. I think you have, clearly enunciated the differentiation between physical literacy and physical education as well. So that's very nice. The activity, physical activity and physical literacy, I think most of our parents have got a fair view of it. Now let's talk about the nuts and bolts to some extent, like the active play. You talked about it stimulating fundamental movement. So if you can talk about that, that's question one. And also, another important question which is there in my mind is like this exercising. What direct impact does it have on the baby's brain? You did mention some parts of it, but if you can elaborate more, maybe emotionally and physically in terms of oxygen levels, if you can just tell us about it.
In the younger age, since we are all in the early years, it definitely improves the cognitive ability because there's a huge supply of oxygen, there's increase in heart rate. It helps increase the focus and memory also. If suppose the child is at a very happy and a positive experience in fitness or any kind of exercise, that memory is always going to be there, and it also affects the neurons and the synapses, and it regenerates new neurons.
Absolutely.
I can go on and on about how it happens in detail, but it's hugely beneficial, especially in the early years, to let the child move instead of shackling the child in one place. That's how the brain is definitely going to improve in every way. Not only the cognitive, but emotional intelligence as well, analytical skills also. The happiness quotient increases. Correct. There's a lot infant high that the child will get at the age of 2 and 3. When the child is learning how to hop, and he learns how to do side hop, when he learns how to do skipping at the age of 4. I mean, a lot of parents are not aware that these are some of the exercises that can be taught so early in life, and that makes the child hugely confident in anything that the child wants to do.
Yeah. So it's like a healthy mind and a healthy body. That's how the proverb probably came into, because it's already analyzed, and that's great.
Yes.
So if you can just a little bit, if you can talk about the fundamental skills, like maybe the.
So basically, children need opportunities in land as well as water. First, we talk about land, and these are basic 3 skills. I mean, in the very early years, because they just learn to balance. So there's one is stability skills that they do from the 0 to 3 years if they are in that age, and locomotor skills as well as manipulation skills. Now, in stability skills, when the child is still very, very small, they start putting their toes up to their head, pulling their legs up. So it starts from there, and the sitting, the chest up. There should be a lot more of that. I think the children should be allowed to do a lot more of that. Then they start moving into the crawling, balancing their heads and their knees, standing with stability with support.
Right.
So that's how it starts, and a lot more should be encouraged. Much more. Without fear of letting them fall. Then comes the first is the stability skills, then the locomotor skills, like moving from one place to the other. Then comes the manipulation skills.
Right.
Locomotor is motion from one place to the other place, and when they start crawling, then walking, then later on at 2.5 they'll hop. There will be side hops, then there will be certain distance hop, and then they increase the distance of the hop. Then you can complicate the movements a little more by catching, throwing something when the child is hopping. So then comes the manipulative skills, when the child learns to hold certain objects and throw. So there's catching, throwing is such an important thing for skills for hand-eye development, hand-eye coordination, as well as reflex development. And letting go of the object, throwing them in the goal post, for example, or kicking them in the goal post. So these are some of the things that the child learns. Child also learns about the body awareness. If they are falling, they will learn, this is the way I need to. I think parents must be aware of the milestones that the child has to develop. They can have a discussion with their doctor regarding the same.
Right.
Yeah.
So great. I think you talked about the stability skills, locomotor skills, and manipulative skills. That is wonderful. I do hope our parents were able to listen to that. So I think, it's great developing this balance and manipulative skills. We actually can think of a lot of exercises relating to this. Even simply keeping a balanced beam in a zigzag fashion, that itself stimulates a lot of cognitive development. So as I was saying, even a simple gymnastic routine, if you add some music to it, that itself helps both the left and right brain development. So even in our Bablr, what we do is we have, as many of our parents will be able to identify with it, we have these experience activities, which parents themselves do at home with the babies. So that's, it matches with a lot many things that you just said. And there's one small little insight which I would like to share with our parents. There was a survey recently done by the Royal Foundation by the Duchess of Cambridge, better known as Kate Middleton, I would say. And she ran this survey on the 5 big questions that can help shape the healthiest generations. And it may not come as a big surprise to our parents that the insight was clearly that the foundation lies in the early years. So it is these positive protective factors from parents which act as the single huge contribution for this healthy generation. So for me, that was nice. It's like an endorsement on so many things. So I quite like that. Yeah. So doctor, with this insight, Can you tell us what parents can do in this to help over here?
So parents can do a lot. I think parents, if they brought children into the world, it's their responsibility to make sure that the children get the kind of exposure in leading a healthy lifestyle. So basically, when it comes to physical activity, if we're talking about fitness, we should be talking about how much activity they are getting indoor as well as outdoor. Now, there are many things where children do go to nursery, play school, but as parents, we also need to provide the certain right environment. You can use very handy equipment tools which are available outdoors as well as indoors. So, like there are certain tree stumps or piles of leaves. If you are going into an outdoor space or a park, you designate a space for a child, mark that space, and make sure that the child utilizes that space to be able to work on all the groups of muscles and explore the outdoor. It is important to develop some kind of sequence and habit for the child. Start with the skills that the child has already acquired and complicate the skills by increasing the variations within that particular sequence. All this promotes a lot of curiosity in children and motivates. Indoor, you can use so many soft toys or soft balls, bean bags, where it's safe for the children to practice throwing, catching. Then you can go to slightly semi-hard and then hard balls, where it is again safe for the children. Create, like, for example, create a plank so that the child learns how to balance. We used to also advise the parents to create these stepping stones. If the child wants to go to the washroom, create some kind of a stepping stone where the child is going to hop on one leg and go. So then, in fact, what I have been starting to practice is while I'm brushing my teeth, I'm standing on one leg every day in the morning. So I don't lose my balance. So it's very important for you. I'm sure everybody knows about the vestibular apparatus which is in the ear. And it is very important to keep stimulating it. We are just sitting all the time, especially in this pandemic.
Correct.
And it's so important to make sure that we move about, run about, and practice our balancing. Then the other option is in indoor, you can create a hopscotch with a chalk or a tape. And that you don't even have to tell a child what to do. The child is automatically going to go in that square and start hopping. Start doing some workout in that and building that square. Outdoor, there is a lot of opportunities. You can carry bubbles, balloons, start helping the child by teaching him how to kick a balloon. Then, you can bring in small logs or rocks and, start accessing more outdoor play in this fashion. So I can go on and on.
Yeah, that's great. So it's basically what you're trying to say here is like the parents need to be more mindful when they look at, activities for children. They need not be simple ones, but you can step them up as you go along the way.
Absolutely. Yes. And you will see wonderful changes in the children
absolutely.
when you start doing that.
Correct. In fact, in our Bablr routine too, we have these experience tools where we actually tell our parents to take them to, sports center or a dance school. Then even our little, I think parents will be able to identify with this again. We have this tunnel run, a wonderful activity where the child, you make a tunnel in your house and the child sort of crawls through it and enjoys it. Maybe the parents can also crawl through it. I used to do that, with my daughter, and I really enjoyed myself. So even some of our application exercises, we encourage the parents, take them out, even though the material is provided, take it outside, do it with the child's friends. So, just as an example, a planet hopper is a good thing, which probably some parents have already been using. So that's great. So, fitness does have a routine, right? All of us follow a routine. So how does one encourage babies to do this routine every day? And do we need to make a plan, or how do we go about this?
Absolutely. Please don't leave it to anybody. You have to form a routine. Routine is the most crucial step.
Yeah.
So since we are trying so hard to create a routine for sleep, or even their meals. I think fitness and physical activity, taking them downstairs in the playground, has to become a routine. It has to be ingrained in the child's head. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. I need to stop.
Yeah.
Encourage by example and set an example yourself. By probably, if the parent wants to go running in the morning or jogging in the morning, the child is going to look up to you, and child will follow your example. So, and then the child goes into an auto mode. So you don't have to keep telling the child and keep nagging the child. It doesn't work. As the children start growing up, they are not going to listen to you. So in the early years, this habit forming is extremely important. Set the routine. Just like they are planning their sleep and their meals, physical activity has to become a part of it.
Yes. And I think it's most important that parents should lead by example. You don't change your routine. You follow a physical routine and do it every day. And when the baby or the child is seeing it every day, it's just natural. Yes, this has to be so, I guess.
Yes. It has to be. And we should all be aware that less than 3 years, 180 minutes of structured or unstructured play is required, and more than 5 years, minimum of 60 minutes of NVA, which is moderate to vigorous activity, is essential. And it has to be consciously implemented, especially now in this challenging time.
So maybe like if you could just elaborate a little bit more, like in this age group of in these age groups, like the toddler age group, what kind of activities one does, and also a few things like the basics that one can teach, like maybe toddler stair climbing or ball rolling or something like that.
Yeah, sure. So unstructured play is very good, especially for younger kids, where they can learn a lot of without any kind of a structure or a routine or a disciplined approach, where there is an instructor. Unstructured is the best way for a child's curiosity and to be able to explore. But at the same time, we need to understand that in today's world, there are certain groups of, in today's challenging times, there are certain groups of muscles which are not being utilized, especially because of too much of sitting. And that is the reason why we need to encourage these particular groups of muscles and target those, especially the glutes or say the back, and strengthen these muscles. So nowadays, parents also fear that the child will fall. Okay, I mean, let the children fall. All the routines are safe, but we need to understand that the kids also need to be able to learn to get up on their own. And in that fashion, then we can start teaching them various activities. Like if a child has to start to learn to walk, it has to step and feel the ground. Start by toddler stair climbing. And then when they start learning how to walk, then, like throw a ball, they learn how to start rolling the ball with their hand or with their legs, they will kick the ball. Then jumping and then kicking probably a basketball or a football. And then expose them to various track activities. And as I mentioned, bubble catching or ball catching outside in the field. Picking up big equipment or big tools or things in the house, and then moving on to smaller so that the children get used to the grasping reflexes, all that.
So that's about toddlers. There's one little question that pops up in my mind, because I also, like when my daughter was little, I did that with her. So I just want to ask you this as a question. Infant swimming, I feel it's a great way to, kind of stimulate the neurons in the brain, and maybe for the muscle groups also. So if you could tell us something about that as well.
Yeah, so see, swimming is one of the best exercises. It is, as I was mentioning earlier, land and water both should be given the exposure to. The kids should be given the exposure to. So swimming is a full body workout. There is not a single muscle which is not going to work out when the child is in the water. Okay. And with all the safety precautions, of course, the parent has to be there, the lifeguard has to be there. We have to expose the children to this particular exercise. And it stimulates the lung capacity, it stimulates the oxygen supply to the entire body, the brain, the hippocampus, the emotional centers, everything in the brain, and it really develops the brain to a large extent. So don't wait for the child to turn a certain age and then put the child in the school. Start going with the children, start exposing the children. Some children get very fearful of the water also, because that's the fear you are transmitting from you as a mother to the child. Children are born fearless, actually. It's because of us that they become like that. So we must be aware of our emotions and what the child is picking up from us. And of course, if I'm saying swimming doesn't mean that you start throwing the child in the pool. But I mean, please be safe, of course, and be with the child. And yes, swimming is very, very good. It's one of the best.
Yeah, actually, this is the most important thing. Actually, your fear gets transmitted so easily to the child, and that's the worst thing that can happen. That's a basic deterrent for any progress, I guess. So the child must, as you said, learn from falling, scraping their knees. We all learned like that. I think maybe at that time it was not just 1 or 2 children per family. There were maybe 3 was the minimum number probably. So our parents just let us do a free unstructured play, I would say, without really knowing it. So that's great. Would you like to, like age-wise, if you would like to say something like some kind of activities for age 2, age 3?
So we discussed the toddlers. So age 2 onwards, basic balancing, agility can also set in. Then we can go up to speed, and beyond the age of, at the age of 3, we can talk about following the leader. Parents usually have to become role models because the children are going to imitate you. So there are various games like mirror, follow the leader, and do the workout, do the kind of play that you want the child to learn. So I think that's a start. And then of course there are various things that are available, literature is available, and create different environments, obstacle races. Animal crawls is something which I really vouch for. Various types of body weight animal crawls, so getting on all fours. Can you maybe hop like a kangaroo or whatever, pounce like a bear, something like that? Absolutely.
I think babies enjoy that.
They really enjoy that. And let me tell you, parents should be able to do it, but nowadays parents are also a little unfit and they are not able to do that. So, bear call is slightly easy, but if you have to go into a duck walk, or say a crocodile walk, or so these things we should be able to do, and it really helps with our hip mobility, especially now in this. After this lockdown, try doing that. You will feel that, oh God, I'm not able to do that. So we all need to get more flexible and mobile in our joints to be able to teach our children.
So maybe after this session, all our parents can do a duck walk and see. I don't know.
Yes,
that will be very useful.
Simply, just say jumping rope also at the age of 4.5, 5 is also extremely important.
Useful,
and you can have a tight rope and put it on the floor and ask the child to say balance. This is another thing that I remember. So these are some of the things that you can start doing. Rolling down and letting the child fall into all these, nowadays a lot of these play stations have come up where there is that huge foam is there and children keep hopping and jumping around. But being outdoor is very important.
Most important, They should pursue a sport also, I'm sure. So
after learning fundamental human skills, they must. At least 2 to 3 sports the child should be exposed to. Not just team sports and not just individual sports.
Team sports.
Team sports is something
very important.
Very
great. I think that was rather detailed. And I'm sure our parents have gained a lot of things from this. So that's really useful. And I think you talked a lot about, very clearly about physical literacy. And we here at Bablr definitely believe in this. And we've kind of tried to provide this holistic development environment for babies, both physical and logical. So I think this session was rather useful.
I hope
I hope our parents too have felt so. So maybe we'll just take a pause here, and we can take questions if parents have any questions for doctor. Yeah, somebody was talking about frog jumps in school times. Yeah, I'm sure. Even I remember jumping duck walks, frog jumps. We used to do that. Yeah, I hope. Some parent is saying definitely awareness on this concept. I think everybody can see the chat. So, if there are any questions, we would like to take them. Okay. So one parent is asking a question, but before I just take the questions, there is this disclaimer that I would like to read once more, that this session is not intended to give any medical advice. Our objective is to make parents aware about the importance of health in early years. We are only going to mention broad and general accepted principles. Please consult your doctor or specialist about all specific questions and circumstances. So having said that, there is this one question. What is the minimum age to begin physical activity?
So a structured physical activity should start by the age of 1.5, where it is balancing and about motor coordination. That's the two basic skills that we start with. And that is being implemented in preschools and when the child is at school, but it should be implemented by parents as well. Certain basic hand-eye coordination and reflex movements, and so by 1.5 to 2 it should start.
Right. Okay, good. So there's our parent Komila Harshani. She is asking how to enhance a kid's curiosity by baby.
When baby is
18 months, yeah. 18 months old.
Again, by giving a lot of exposure to various environments and taking the child out to the park. Staying indoors is, now we've realized that we as humans cannot be so much indoors. In this last 1 year, I think we all have learned that in 2020, the whole world.
Right. COVID has taught us a lot, many lessons.
We have to move out, we have to be outdoors, and so if we are feeling that, can you imagine a child who needs to be curious, who needs to see the world outside, who needs to see the open ground? It's important that we need to start awakening the curiosity of the child. How to enhance that is by taking the child outdoors, by giving him exposure to active educative screen time. So even if you are homebound, you can give exposure to the educational screen time. There is a lot which is available. Also on Bablr, there is so much of learning that can be done, which is extremely beneficial for the neurological development of the child. So definitely keep stimulating the child with and engaging the child with different activities, and you'll see the child really learning so fast, and you'll be surprised.
Yes. Absolutely. I think that's so curiosity is something that the child develops. You just provide the opportunity for it, and they become curious and curious. Absolutely. That's great. So there is another parent asking how to increase best food for toddlers. Okay.
So food is something which is geographically as well as culturally very, very, there's a huge variety. But having a well-balanced diet is what is very important. Of course, in our current discussion, when we are talking about healthy babies, we have to keep nutrition in mind. But that is completely another area that we can, you can have another expert talking about it.
We can have probably a nutritionist or somebody else.
Absolutely. So best food for toddlers is like a really vast subject that you can address later.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is another parent who is asking how to increase concentration through which activities?
So focus activities, again, hand-eye coordination, reflex activities, focus related activities are very important. Reduce the time that they have, while they are playing, just passively looking at the screen. That is really going to impact the child's memory, focus. So first start with that. Don't say, okay, how do I increase this? But first try reducing the activity which is going to negatively impact the child. First, reduce that. And then, and of course, what is most important is sleep. Today's kids, even though we are seeing a lot of lack of sleep in above the age of 5, but sleep even in the early years is extremely important. They need to sleep enough, and that is where your focus, your memory will really improve when child is getting enough rest and enough.
Right, absolutely. Sleep is nothing as restive as sleep. It's very important for growing.
Yeah.
So there is this interesting question from Shweta Gaikwad. She says, nice, I like this. So it's fine. Is it fine that my baby coming with me to the gym and uses a treadmill, 1 kg dumbbells and boxing under our supervision itself? She is 22 months now.
Absolutely not. So, I mean, she could become the next Mary Kom. Yeah, but definitely she is too small. 22 months is really, really small. And
not on the treadmill.
Yeah. We advise body weight training only up to the age of puberty settlement. Beyond that, we advise lightweight training. We do use kettlebells, very light, small, tiny kettlebells, 1 kg kettlebells for our children in our sessions, where there is a good amount of muscle development with resistance training. But for such small kids, even treadmill is very unsafe. Unless you're holding the child, it's very unsafe.
Yeah, so rather than the treadmill or picking up dumbbells, I think this brachiation exercise would be more useful.
Yes, absolutely. So brachiation, swinging on monkey bars, climbing on top of those equipments which are there in the outdoor spaces, that is extremely important for a child, and not weightlifting. I mean, not dumbbell.
Right. So another question which Saida is asking is, could you please repeat at what age to begin physical activity?
So unstructured physical activity should happen throughout, even for us adults. And structured physical activity must start at the age of 1.5 to 2. By that age group, you must start a structured activity. You can put the child in a structured activity class for even 15 minutes, where the instructor is making sure that certain coordination, balance, movements are honed, and that particular activity is imparted to the child. Okay, structured activities, what are they? Basically, they are planned activities by an instructor, by a certified instructor. So that is what a structured activity is, where there is a proper plan, like to go 24 sessions, and you make sure that that kind of structure is followed so that a certain goal is achieved based on the milestone.
Yeah, I think I missed one question. Somebody was saying, can I ask about Clinetics? Yeah, I think Dr. Kanwar did mention in the beginning, but maybe a short, since someone is asking about it, please.
So Clinetics is like how we are teaching workouts and to adults, right? But in children, we cannot use the same kind of workouts. What we do is, we have created different new workouts for children depending upon their age and depending upon their milestones that need to be achieved. For example, by the age of say 5, the child should be able to jump a rope, on his own. The child should be able to ride a bicycle by the age of 5.5 without trainer. A lot of parents are still not aware of that. So we help the children in our session and create this awareness with the parents that children need to learn these basic skills and teach all these skills in a gamified, in a fun way. And that's how it is. It's scientific at its core, but it's packaged as very, very entertaining for the child.
Right.
Child gets inspired.
Correct. I think basically gamifying it is very important, and even a simple thing like I have seen this so often. Like there's a group of kids playing, and there's one child standing outside and looking at it. So even as an adult, I would do that. As when my daughter was growing up, I would do that. Like okay, just join the game of these children with this child, so that child gets drawn in. So it's very important as parents that you yourself do an activity. So, you might want to play a game of Lagori or something with your children, with your children's friends. That helps a lot, I think.
Yeah.
So I guess
to teach toddlers easily.
Yeah.
So we in Kinetics, what we do is become a child with the children.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest way. I mean, I'm just addressing the word. It easily comes only when you really go to the child's level and become a child. It should not be when we send our instructors to teach children. They are trained. The instructors are trained to smile a lot, to fool around, to play about with the kids, more than becoming a teacher to the child or a guru to the child. You need to become a child. That's the easiest way, because then only the child will be able to relate to you.
Correct. Absolutely.
Smile a lot, fool around, become a joker, and make the child laugh a lot. If it's a toddler, start making them laugh a lot and just having a lot of fun, and that's the positive impact that the child will remember.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that's great. Dr. Kanwar, you've been very, very helpful and I think very insightful.
So.
Yeah, I'm sure our parents also identify with that. And I guess if there aren't any more questions, we can end the session. I would like to thank all the parents. Thank you for a great participation. And don't forget to do your duck walk after the session. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Kanwar. Thank you very much. Look forward to many more sessions with you like this.
Thank you. Jiten, Neha, thank you. Thanks, Vidyut, for having me, and it was really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. So I can see some of the parents, Payal, Ahan, Shagun.
Sure, with the duck walk. Please send me pictures to Vidyut.
Please do. Do send us. Correct. And maybe our next session, we can all do a duck walk session.
But on a serious note, try doing the duck walk on a regular basis, because this pandemic has really killed our hip joint.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And in fact, I'm going to do that now. I'm really motivated for that now. Okay, great. So thank you very much for joining this session.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.